experiences, I always tend to blame it on myself, knowing that I have the highest influence. And y'all say me, it's you and me, that the whole world can see. Oh, yeah, my maker, you protect us all, and you heard my call. I know you let me tell you something. Is the young man to where he got a high? Is his ear heavy to where he will not hear? Is his arm short to where he cannot see? Like those words out and give them the Yahweh. Then you and me, that the whole world. My King, he protects all, and he heard my call. I used to worry about if my bills get paid. I used to worry about all of my enemies. I used to worry about if my friends were saved. But now I take those problems and give them to Yahweh. Then you and me, that the whole world. My master, he protects us all, and he heard my budget. That's just an example. It all falls back on yourself and how eager you are to learn.
All right, you guys, I'm sorry. Welcome in, welcome in. Hey, young Riaz, I have not forgotten about you. Y'all, I'm listening to y'all's live stream as I'm trying to do this. So, hey, let me just say hello to you all for coming in. And my head's being cut off. Hold on. Cynical, thank you, boo. Number one in the building, Emmanuel Briggs, young Riaz, thank you, boo. I have not forgotten about you. Like I said, I had to start an account because I had one, but I closed it out. It's good to see you, brother. I'm going to just call you Binya. All right, you guys. So I think I said in Red Wings. All right, you guys. Another short and sweet one. I just decided I should have really done these videos a long time ago. I have done videos about submission and how trying to get women to understand actually the power of submission, but also it does not mean to be a doormat. There's people out here, evil people, that will use that word to mistreat other people. And so I'm here to just tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. That's what I'm here to do, honey. So, and I hate to see that. I've seen lots of women get mistreated and taken advantage of just because their lack of knowledge about this word. Their lack of knowledge about this word. And y'all, by the way, this is a regular King James Version Bible, but this one is basically, it's just like the King James Version. It does have Hebrew in it, okay? But yeah, I've been in this truth now for over 20 something years. My son is 24, and I got into it right before he was born. So over 24 years. My son is blessed in the fact that he was born into this. Like, he knows nothing about any pagan holidays. He was born into this. And so that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with generations and generations of Hebrew Israelites being born into this. I've known people that are going back now two generations. When I first started, you'd be lucky if you met a few here and there, but there are some of us that have been in this thing for years. My son's father has been an elder for close to 50 years, about 40 something, 50 years. All right. So welcome in, everybody. I'm going to break the scripture down. I won't be long. Hey, thank you guys for coming in the building. I see we on lock. I see Third Ward. Thank you so much. Y'all see I went to church. I went to church today. Like the outfit. I went to church, honey. And I'm going to get into that again because I know some people don't understand that. Like, how can you be a Hebrew Israelite and be around Christians? Like I said, I grew up in the church. So I'm very comfortable with the church. And if you're going to ask me that, how can you go to work every day and be around sinners? How can you go to your home girl or your home boy's birthday party at a nightclub and be around sinners? Right? There's all types of people there, but you still do it, don't you? You still engage in it, don't you? So, I understand the questions, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to answer questions respectfully. And so let's get down to it. I'm going to talk about submission. I've talked about this many times on this channel, and I actually gave it a lot of thought. I've already started a cooking channel. I'm going to start dropping the links to my other channels. Only subscribe if you're interested in those channels. So I will start sharing it on my community tab, and I will start dropping links to my other channel. One is a cooking channel, and I'm seriously considering doing a Hebrew Israelite kind of sister channel, because there are a lot of people, not just Hebrew Israelite women, but a lot of people that have questions, and that's what I'm here for. I have the knowledge, and I'm more than happy and willing and grateful to be able to share the information with you guys. Okay, so okay, a recap. I started talking to sisters about, what it's like to be, or just people, what it's like to be a Hebrew Israelite woman. Okay. But I'm going to touch, I didn't go far enough. I didn't go far enough into it. When I watched the video, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to mention this. I forgot to mention that. So this is the video. This is part 2. This is where I'm going to mention it. I feel like I'm so far away from the computer, y'all. But okay, anyway. I talked about submission. Submission is something that's given to a husband. But what happens, and this is one of the questions, what happens if your husband or your head is not behaving according to the Most High, meaning he's not behaving righteously? He is not, because I use the term that he is God-fearing. And what does that mean? That means that he follows the laws, right? That's what that means. And I talked about abuse. And I talked about how it's forbidden. Physical abuse is forbidden. That's absolutely true. And I'll go with some scripture to back that up. The Hebrew Israelite community is not the only community. Oh, let me take off third. I'm sorry, I left your comment up there. But yes, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Okay, to the channel. But Hebrew Israelite, this whole society as a whole, is very slow to understanding what abuse is, especially, I'm gonna be honest, especially in the African American community. We are slow. Y'all know what they say, if America got a cold, we got pneumonia, honey, and it's the truth. So abuse is abuse is abuse is abuse. And me being the type of person I am, I'm not going to give women. I remember when I was a little girl, I told this story. I'll never forget. There was a woman in church. I was a little girl, but she was clearly being abused. She came to church one morning, all distraught. All the church sisters were around her. She had a black eye. I mean, it was horrible. Her husband had beat her up. And I'm thinking to myself, as a little girl, I'm thinking to myself, they're going to talk to her. They're going to convince her to get out of this situation. No, they did not. They did not try to convince her to get out of that situation. Those women told that youngling to pray for her husband. That's what they said. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong. Of course, you should pray. You should pray for everyone. You should pray for your loved ones. You should pray for your enemies. Yes, I believe in the power of prayer. But faith without works is dead. You praying for that person and they still are putting your life at risk, putting their hands on you, mistreating you in front of your kids is unacceptable. And you should not go not one day, not 1 minute, not 1 hour, not 1 second longer in an abusive situation. Then you have to. It's not good. We know what do we know? What does society know now about abuse? We know that it's not good for the children. But this is that old Southern, y'all know I'm from the old South, honey. This is that old Southern mentality and the things that they used to tell women. You know, the woman's husband obviously was an alcoholic. He had a substance abuse problem. And he would take out his stress literally on his wife in front of their kids. And instead of these people, you know, being leaders in the church, tell this young lady to get out of that situation, they were convincing her to go back to it. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is horrible. That's what I thought. And I was a little kid. As a little kid, I knew that that wasn't right. I knew that that wasn't right. No one told me. I knew that that wasn't right. And that's when I honestly started. There were several situations to where I started to look at the church differently. And that was one of them. And I realized that there were a lot of people, and this crosses all boundaries, okay? I don't care what faith you're in. There are a lot of people in leadership positions that really don't have the proper training, and they don't need to be in the positions that they're in. I'm gonna just be honest. For those grown women to give that young girl that advice and put her life back in a harmful situation, and also the kids' life back in a harmful situation, it's dangerous, it's unacceptable. And I'm going to talk about that in the Hebrew Israelite community. So like I said, I was married to an elder. I was blessed in the fact that my husband, but I also vetted my husband, but my husband was a very good man. My husband barely probably ever raised his voice, let alone raise a hand to me. He put me on a pedestal. He treated me the way a man should treat a woman. And I'm going to talk about the way a man should be treating you. The Bible says that the Messiah loved us, right? Like he loved the church. So when you love something, you show love. It's an action verb. You know, it's not just something that you say, you show it. And so that's how you know right off the rip that doing something physical to someone else in a harmful way is a no-go. Also, what does the Bible say? Your partner is your other half. So would you punch your other half? Would you punch yourself? No, right? That's crazy. Would you hurt yourself? Would you verbally abuse yourself and say, oh my God, you know, you're just disgusting. You're just ugly. Would you do that to yourself? No, you would not. Not if you have right mind. Not if you're sane. You would not. So why would you turn around and do that to your spouse? The Bible is literally the instructions for life. Okay. So I'm going to deal with the submission thing. So I've seen a lot of sisters, they have said that they struggle with submission. And I don't believe that. I don't think, I'm going to be honest, I think the problem is not necessarily that they're struggling with submission. I think that a lot of them don't really understand. And I do believe this for men too. A lot of people just do not understand submission and what that word means. I've looked up the definition, I've read the definition. But it's basically to be under the authority of something or someone. We often use in the Hebrew family structure, we use the term head. Well, he's the head, he's the leader of the household, which is true. But understand and see, this is what I was taught. This is the way I was taught. Don't take that. Don't feel no type of way about that. Don't feel like that's an insult, because it's not. Because everything needs a head. But if he's the head and you're right underneath it, what are you? You're this. Okay? And a head without this, there is nothing. You are everything else. You are the backbone. You are the neck. You are the structure. You are the body. A head without a body is useless. So do not devalue yourself. Do not let anybody make you feel like you are less valuable to your family, to your household, because you are not. And men that lead houses, they understand that. They understand the value of a woman. I never did understand putting down women and then expecting to have a strong household. You cannot do that. You can't put down your other half. You know, you can't beat up on yourself and expect things to go smoothly. That's not how it works. A wise man loves his wife because he loves himself. And he realizes that she is the helpmeet and she is there to support him. All right, so I'm going to delve into more of the submission. Now, what do we always talk about? We talk about the Proverbs 31st woman. That was one of the first scriptures that me and one of my sisters, we went over. And she had an amazing way of explaining the scripture to me. I'm going to read it to y'all. Oh, hey, we unlock. I'm sorry. Oh, y'all. It's hot in this house, child. But I'm going to read it to y'all. It says, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband doeth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need to spoil. Let's just break down the first verse. Who can find a virtuous woman? Meaning that they're rare, right? So men, listen to this. They're rare. So if you find a woman and she's your wife, I mean, that's a rarity. And she's rare enough to be a wife. That's rarity. So what did I tell y'all? Appreciate when you have a good person, appreciate that person. Right? It says, for her price is far above rubies. So you've got a wife. She should not be feeling beat down. She shouldn't be feeling below you. She's valuable. It says her price is far above rubies. She's a rarity. She's something to be cherished, not abused, whether it's physically, mentally, or verbally. And I'm going to get into this because some, not the good ones. And let me pause this for a second. I'm going to tell you, ladies, how to distinguish between a good Hebrew Israelite man and a bum, because there is a difference. And I am going to tell you the difference because I'm tired of these people, the bums, getting on social media, making Hebrew Israelites look bad. That the buck stops here, right here with me. There are good Hebrew Israelite men. There are good young brothers that want wives. Young men my son's age are younger. They want wives. They want families. But these bums, I call them horny toads, these horny toads. And that's why I tell you women to to really vet. Don't be so quick to jump in the bed. Because y'all know by Hebrew, if you don't know, by Hebrew Israelite law, once you lay with a person, that is your wife or your husband. And that's why it's important to move slowly. But let's get back into this. Where was I at? It says, the heart of her husband doeth safely trust her. So her husband trusts her. It says, so that he shall have no need to spoil. Okay. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. So she will do him good. That, I mean, it speaks for itself. It says she seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. So she's a worker. You know, oftentimes when we think about the word submission, we think weak, we think damsel in distress. No. It says the virtuous woman, honey. She's a worker. She seeketh out wool and flax and worketh with her hands. She's a hard worker. Does that mean she's carrying the household? No. And I'm going to get into that too. That's not what that means. Okay. It says she is like the merchant ship. She bringeth food from afar. So she travels, she works. She's not up under foot of anybody. She has a husband, but she's not up under foot, right? Because he trusts her. So he's not holding on to her like, like she's I don't want to say the word property, but holding on to her in a way that he, almost like a thing, like an object. Okay. It says she riseth also while yet at night. So she's working hard. She's getting up early in the morning and giveth meat to her household and portions to her maidens. So she's looking out for the family and she's looking out for other women. You get that? She give a portion to her maidens. So she's looking out for other women. It says she considereth a field and buyeth it. So she has money. She has power. This is not what we think of when we think of submission, but this is the ideal. The Proverbs 31st woman is the ideal woman, and this is the ideal lady to be like. Okay. It says she considereth the field and buyeth it with the fruit of her hands, and she planted the vineyard. So she's growing things. It says she girdeth her loins with strength. So she's strong and strengthens her arms. She's not weak and fragile, and her husband isn't walking all over her. He values her. Remember, he said that she is far precious like rubies. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candles goeth out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor. So she's giving out to the poor. She's kind. She's kind-hearted. Yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. So she's giving out to the poor. She's helping the needy. She is a good woman. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh her coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silken purple. If y'all don't know, silken purple is a royal color. So she's not poor. And that's another thing I'm going to talk to y'all later about. Just because you are humble, we're going to talk about being humble, dressing appropriately and all that later on. Doesn't mean you can't be, there's nothing wrong with makeup. There's nothing wrong with braiding the hair. There's nothing wrong with beautifying yourself, long as that's not all that you have to offer. Do you have a good heart? Okay. It says she maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor. Listen to me now. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She opened, and listen to this, she's wise. She's not foolish. You got some Hebrew Israelite men that don't want their wives to speak. How do you have a helpmeet and you don't want to listen to what she has to say? How is she going to help you? It says she opened her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household. and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, and her husband also, and they praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excel them all. So she is fabulous. Okay. It says, many daughters have done virtually, but thou excellest them all. Okay. So that's the Proverbs 31st woman. She is the ideal woman. She is the epitome of beauty inside and out. She is selfless. She is hardworking, but she is beautiful. She has adorned herself and her family with the finest cloth, right? But she is selfless. She gives in selfless service to the community, to other women, to the poor, to the needy. This is a great example of true submission to the word of God, submission to that. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about when you should not be submitting, even to your husband. I'm going to talk about that because this is something that I have seen for myself that a lot of elders struggle with. I'm not going to struggle with it. I'm not going to tiptoe around it. I'm going to tell you the truth. If your husband is not following scripture, meaning he is not doing the righteous thing, he is not acting like he fears God. What is fearing God? Fearing God is when you do the laws, when you are doing what you are supposed to do. So am I talking about, your husband is asking you to, let me think. I'll tell you what I'm talking about before I tell you what I'm not talking about. When not to submit is when your husband is being a demon. And I'm being as blunt with you guys as I can. Just like a woman could be a demon, a husband can be a demon too. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about under the influence of a substance. I'm talking about under the influence of alcohol, under the influence of a drug, to where his mind is not his own. You can't submit to that. You better not submit to that. A man that's heavily influenced by the evils of the world, by the evils of society, will have you out there prostituting yourself. Seriously. Because he has no law in him. He has no godliness in him. So absolutely, you don't submit to that type of dude, even if you're married to him. And I already told y'all how to not end up with men like that. I told y'all to vet and take your time and not to be alone with those type of men. And some of y'all might say, oh my gosh, mahogany, that's such an extreme, but it happens. It happens a lot. And I'm tired. I've been on the phone with these ladies. I'm tired of hearing my husband abuses me. My husband mistreats me. I'm tired of hearing it. And then when they go to the elders for help, they get no help. We're going to talk about the lawful marriage. And that they talk about this in the Bible. But, well, mahogany going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you to go back to a situation like that. I can't, and I won't. I cannot sit here as another woman and tell a woman to go back to that. No, because that person is not of the Most High, and they are not following. They're not following after the Most High. So if he's leading you to the pits of hell, you don't follow that. You don't submit to that. And you don't drag your children down with that, all to say that you're a submissive wife. No. He lost that privilege when he, put his hands to you, right? He lost that privilege when he got skunk drunk, and damaged, and tried to beat you between the washer and dryer. He lost that privilege. And now he's got to earn it back. You being a man just doesn't mean you having male genitalia doesn't mean you know how to lead a family. And you having male genitalia doesn't mean that you're righteous. And you having male genitalia does not mean that you are deserving to have a family. It does not. But this is why I tell women to vet. So you find all this out before. Because I got, it's a almost unheard of thing for a man to just turn this way. No, he's had a drinking problem for a while, probably. Or if he was a whoremonger, he was a whoremonger for a while. He's been chasing skirts for a while. But you did not wait. You did not take your time and vet him. And so you rushed and married him, right? Because you were hot, let's be honest. You wanted to lay down with him. And now you stuck. And now the Hebrew Israelite community is telling you that you're stuck and you can't leave him. Well, I'm telling you, you are not stuck when it comes to certain situations like that. You're not here to be nobody's whipping post. Now, in circumstances less dramatic and less graphic, like maybe your husband lost his job, absolutely, you're supposed to stay there and hold him down. You're his helpmeet. You're his helpmeet. So you don't just abandon that man because he's on hard times. Okay? That man also, honey, needs to get back up on his feet and handle his business so he can be looked at and respected as the head of his family. It's very difficult to convince a woman, I'm talking to the men now, that you're a leader and that you're the head if she's literally doing more for the family than you are. I'm just being very blunt with you guys because it's just, this is the truth and this is how women think. Is that necessarily the case? No, it's not, because men bring certain things to the table other than money, other than protection. They do bring, their presence is very important to you and to your children. Make no mistake about that. It is very important. But I need for brothers to understand if they want that respect to be more out there in the forefront, then handle your business, handle yourself accordingly. The Bible says a man that does not work doesn't eat, but he's talking about all people. Let me just say that. In the Bible, they use the term man interchangeably. When he's talking about man, he's talking about human. He's talking about people. But also, it also says a man that does not take care of his own, honey, should be counted less than an infidel. And you, woman, because you belong to that man once you marry him and child, you are his responsibility. He's supposed to be taking care of you. Like I told you in the first video, help meet, not workhorse, help meet. Okay? You have references in the Bible. Men fought wars for women. When men, worked the fields for women to get the women that they want. So I want women to understand that you are valuable. And if you are with a man that's not treating you like you're valuable, there is a problem. Does that mean you need to run away and leave the situation? Not necessarily, because people have to learn. Just like you have to learn, he has to learn, And I would suggest counseling. Before anything, I would suggest counseling. Like I said, you just need to make sure that whoever you're talking to is informed and educated, though. You don't want to go, I hate to say it, like a church I grew up in and talk to elders that have no experience or knowledge in what they're talking about or dealing with. You want to go to somebody that has some knowledge of how to handle these situations. You don't want to go to somebody that's going to keep you in harm's way or put you and your children in harm's way. Yes, pray. Honey, stay on your knees. But there's some things you've got to also work it out, honey. You got to work it out along with prayer. And you could pray from a distance for somebody. But your safety is important. I always tell women, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to look at y'all. I want women to look at it like this. Because oftentimes we don't. But you are a child of the Most High. You are a child of the Creator, just like He is. So, and all parents love their children. So what parent you know wants their child to be mistreated and abused? You wouldn't want your daughter or son to be mistreated and abused. So why do you think it's okay? Why is it justifiable for you to be mistreated and abused? Because you said I do to someone? No, that doesn't justify you being mistreated and abused. So I need for Hebrew Israelite women to get in this word, study this word, learn up under a woman, an experienced Hebrew Israelite woman, preferably one that has been married to an elder for a certain amount of time, because some of these women are in horrible situations and they're going to give you horrible advice. And some of the things I've heard, y'all, is really horrible. I've heard some horrible things. There's some horrible things going on in Israel. And the only way it's going to stop if we speak out against it and we put our foot down and we say, no, this is unacceptable behavior. This is evil. This is wicked. You do not treat your spouse like this. You do not yell and scream at your spouse. You do not call your spouse names. And this is either way. You don't do this. Okay. So this sermon is more towards the women. And well, I'll be fair. I'll go both ways because I've seen situations where it's the other way around. You might have a young brother, a young husband. He's never been married before. He's inexperienced and he's taken on to wife a woman with some experience. And, he's trying to lead her down the right path. Babe, I don't want you to eat pork anymore. I don't want us to celebrate these holidays anymore. And she is just fighting him left and right. I'm going to tell you, like I told the brother, be patient. But at the same time, you do have to lead your household. But there's a way. There's a way. When dealing with a situation like that, where you're trying to get somebody to transition into your belief, first of all, that's very hard. You're better off trying to find another Hebrew Israelite woman, but that's very hard because you're telling somebody who has celebrated their birthday or Christmas every year that all of a sudden they can't. And then if they have kids, it's like, oh my gosh, my kids is. So you've gotta meet them where they're at. And I've talked about this a little bit before in the past. Don't go in there barking orders and rules and stuff. And you just, you know what I'm saying? You're just now getting into the kid's life. It doesn't work like that. You've got to earn their trust and their respect. You have to. Okay. Especially if they're not yours. They need to know that you're not like the dude before that up and left mom. You know what I'm saying? They need to know that you're different, that you believe in this word, that you read this word and you live by this word. They need to know that there's something different and upright and special about you. And so you show them with example. So you got a new wife, you got kids, right? Let's say they're from someone else, but you're stepping up to the plate. You want to be with this woman. You have patience, just like somebody had patience with you. You take her to be taught by a woman, by a Hebrew Israelite woman, and you take those kids to be taught, but they have their place. Now you tell them, you said, we're not going to do this anymore. I understand that you have a conversation, talk to them. They're young, but they can understand this is not something we're going to continue to do. But what you don't just, like I said, there's a way to do things. So their grandparents have given them Christmas gifts, or they have gotten birthday gifts from their auntie. You don't just throw it in the trash and say, no, you're not going to get this. You're going to be headed for trouble. If you handle it that way, you're going to be headed for trouble. And you're going to look like a bully. You're not going to look like somebody who has knowledge. With knowledge, there's charisma, right? There's tactfulness. You learn how to deal with people. You learn how to talk to people. You learn how to treat people. You understand what the person is feeling. So yeah, you don't do that. What you say is, okay, well, why don't we, you have to wean people in, basically. You can't beat them over the head and say, get this word. No, you compromise. You will have to. If you're in a situation like that, you will have to. Or your marriage will not last long. Doesn't mean you have to compromise your belief as far as not having a tree or whatever under the roof and stuff like that. You don't have to compromise that, but don't take the kids' gifts away. You know, be like, okay, you know what, sweetie, y'all can go over there with that. I'm not having that in this house. And prayfully, it's your house and not her house. That's what I'm saying. If you want to be in a leadership position, you got to carry yourself like you are actually capable of leading. But yeah, or maybe you guys do something maybe a week before the holidays or a week after, and you slowly teach them and you slowly get them to understand your beliefs. Okay. But you don't just beat Hebrew Israel. You don't beat this stuff into people's heads. That's not how it works. You're going to lose people. And you don't want to lose them. You want to bring them in to the truth. You don't want to lose them. Okay. Now, I think I have touched on everything. I talked about a lot. I wish I had wrote it out. It would have been more organized if I had wrote it down. Let me look at y'all. Let me see. Red Wings. Hey, me. Oh, May's in the building. But let me read Red Wings. It says, but to me, it means tolerance. I have to listen and learn, but I'm agnostic at the moment. I'm learning. Well, we're all learning, right? And learning is one of those things we should be doing to the day we die. If people think they're going to stop learning, that's not good. We all learning, honey. That means we are alive, honey. Let me see what else you guys are saying. It says, and there are people who are extremely messy who use religion as a personality trait. That's great that they are versed in religion, but they forgot to be. Speak a word, sister. Sister Thin, you spoke a word. That's absolutely true. Hey, Mr. Rucker. Let me read some of you guys' stuff. It says, Mahogany, I think relationships are so easy. Can be right. Just don't be exactly right. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Oh, I got a lot of people in the building. Let's see what Sunday says. Mahogany, call yourself New Age Israel, the trending type Hebrew. I guess so. I just believe in doing what is realistic for the time that we're living in, you know? We're living in a time, and we got to keep up with the time. You know what I'm saying? Like today, I went to church, like I said, and a lot of people, I'm so used to bringing my Bible, but a lot of people, they're just reading scripture on their phones, and they had a QR code and everything for the kids so they could do games on the phone. And, that's new. That's different than how I grew up. But I think I touched on this. I'll probably change the title. Thank you all for being here. I feel the need to do this because, like I said, I've had several Hebrew Israelite wives reach out to me in tears. Last thing before I go. Some of you all did not do what I said in the first video. Some of you, when I told y'all to vet these men, because it was very difficult to get out of it. Remember, I told y'all that last video, but y'all didn't do that. You talked to him on the phone, and he didn't tell you that those behaviors were inappropriate. He's not going to tell you because he wants to bed you. He wants to bed you. He wants to bed you, and and it's so different for a lot of these women because they don't understand what's going on. I'm going to tell you what's going on. He wants to bed you so he can wife you, so you will be his wife, and you delve out all the submission. In the meantime, he has no intention. We're talking about the bombs here. We're not talking about the good ones. But in the meantime, he has no job. But you already married him. You laid down with him under Jewish law. You laid down with him. So now what happens is the guilt. You don't want the community, the other people, the Jewish community, to judge you. So what do you try to do? You try to stick it out. So now you've got a bum on your couch that will not work. You've got 3 and 4 kids. You're working, busting your behind, and you got this Hebrew Israelite on your couch telling you to submit. And you trying your best. You submitting in the bed, you submitting in the kitchen, you submitting, you doing everything you're supposed to do, but he's doing absolutely nothing for you. So in that circumstance, I did find a scripture. In that circumstances, there is one line. I think it's, I don't know if it's Matthew, where the Messiah talked about. Oh gosh, I think I exited out of it. Hold on. There is one line where he talks about true marriage. I can't find it right now. Hold on. But the Messiah talks about true. Were you married under? Was it true? Was it real? So if you basically, ladies, if you made a mistake, and there's some of you that made flat out mistakes, I'm going to just be honest, because you're not really married to true Hebrew Israelite men, because true Hebrew Israelite men know the word, and they fear the Most High, and they know they need to take care of their families. They know they need to take care of their women. So they are fearful of the Most High. What you ended up was an internet bum. You ended up with a con artist. That's what you ended up with. You got weak to his words. You slept with him, and now you can't get him out your house. Well, you can get him out your house. I'm telling you not to feel guilty about nothing, because he came to you with deceit and evilness and wickedness in his heart. He came to you. Oh, let me see what I could get out of this sister. She looked desperate. She got 3, 4 kids. Ain't nobody else, ain't nobody else gonna wife that. Let me make her my wife, along with the other 2 that he got across town that he ain't taking care of. And when he get mad at you, he go bounce on their couch. That's what we dealing with. That's what y'all are dealing with. I'm not dealing with, but that's what y'all are dealing with. So if you are a part of a congregation and they're worth half their salt, they'll listen to you. But I'm going to be honest, you will not be able to hop from that man and go to another. It's unlawful, and they won't do it. And I don't think you should do it. I think you should focus on healing. And you might have to start completely over and count it a lesson learned. And don't let it happen again. When you date a Hebrew Israelite man, don't be alone with him. That's why you're not supposed to be alone with him. There's reasons for everything, especially in this law. It says, that turned me off about Islam. It says lots of Black Muslims were real ghetto, honey, ghetto. They out here ghetto, child. I can tell you. Ghetto, messy in marriage, divorce, 4 or 5. And that's what Israel is going through. See, I forget May understands, because she was a sister wife. That is what Israel is going through. And I'm going to be honest, it turned me off. I never left. Like I said, I never left and I'm going to talk about girl, thank you we're going to end the show on this one. It says a bunch of kids in poverty. He out there preaching about not taking Uncle Sam's money, but he's using Uncle Sam's money, using the food stamps that you get for your kids. While you busting your behind, he out there flirting with other women, trying to find wife number 4 to help support him, not to help support you and your kids, but to help support him. This is the bum. This is the bumness I'm talking about. Beware, sisters in Israel, and sisters, period. Just beware. Beware of these people. Just because they may have a Star of David, or they toting this Bible, does not mean that they're not evil. Does not mean they're not wickedness incarnate. You better pray. You better pray, honey. Pray for protection. Some Black Muslims are messy like that too. They bring their culture. Yeah. It's disgusting, because it turns people off. You know, we're trying to bring people into the family. We're trying to share this good word. We want to educate people. We, you know, and you making our reputations trash. But this is, I'm gonna end this, and then I'm gonna read a few more of your comments. I'm gonna end the show like this. Remember, sister, I've seen this to where women, they get with the wrong dude, he's abusive, and they can't take it no more, and they leave. And then they go seeking help from the elders. And the elders, because they don't want no parts of the drama, they most of the time don't do anything. But that woman is ostracized, and she's never to marry again, which I think is absolute foolishness. So that's why I say you might have to start somewhere else, but change your ways, learn from your mistake. And because also in Hebrew law, a woman can't just, you know, walk. That's why I say a lot of these things, a lot of that, like I said, there are some Hebrew Israelites that are recognizing abuse, that are recognizing some of the things that these women are complaining about, alcoholism, drugs, and they're getting involved and saying, okay, you know, this is an abusive situation, and we're not going to make this sister sit in this mess. We're not going to make her do that. She's got kids. We're not going to make her sit in this nonsense, even though she was a part of creating the nonsense because she did not vet the man. This is serious business. This is not like out dating out in the street. You got to vet these people because you are going to be stuck with them. And the Hebrew Israelite community is not, they're not keen on divorce. They're going to try to do everything except give you a divorce. And I know some of y'all are going through hell. I know it. I've gotten the phone calls. I know that some of y'all are going through hell. I've cried on the phone with you. But remember what I say. Remember these words. No matter what happens out here in the world and society and the congregation, what the elders decide on, what he running around here still saying you his wife. And that's what they'll do, by the way. They'll still be calling you their wife. No, they didn't treat you worth a damn. They treated you like dirt on their shoe. But because they don't want to see you move on and happy with somebody else, I've actually seen them call other congregations and say, you got sister so-and-so in there. Well, she's my wife. You know what I'm saying? The sister that moved on got another baby with another man, and he's still trying to be a demon. So remember, your faith and your belief in the Most High, nobody can take that away from you. No one can. I follow the laws no matter where I am. When I was in the military, I could have been over in a ditch somewhere. I had my Bible with me. I kept it here and I kept it here. No one can take the words of the Most High from out of your heart and out of your mind. You keep it with you, and you don't let no one can tell you that you're not a Hebrew Israelite if that's what you are in your heart. Now, I didn't get to some of the laws. I'll probably do another video. I wanted to talk because it's not just dietary laws. It's all types of laws. There's over 600. I think there's 600, and my son told me 613 laws in the Bible. Old Testament laws, right? We all know the 10 Commandments, but there's actually 613 laws. Moral laws, like do not marry, you know, you're not supposed to be looking at your stepmother, stuff like that, you know. But there's also laws that might shock you, like, you know, if you have a brother and he dies, he passes away, and he hasn't had a chance to spread his seed with his wife, that you should take her to wife. So but Hebrew Israelites follow the laws, okay? Everything except those sacrificial laws. Those are, you know, not functional in today's society, right? And if you believe in the Messiah, they're unnecessary. What other laws? There's laws about cleanliness and, you know, keeping. I think that's what the next video will be. We'll talk about that the next time. Abstaining from sex, when you're unclean, man or woman, you know, don't touch a dead body because then you're unclean for 7 days. We'll talk about the cleanliness laws because those are very important. And I get a lot of common questions about that. You know, if you're married, do you separate from your husband? Yes, you should still separate from your husband during that time. It's not a long period of time. And no, you don't leave the house. You don't have to leave the house, okay? But it just means that there's no intimacy. There's no intimacy during that time because of the cleanliness laws. Just like if you go to a funeral and you touch a deceased body, there are cleanliness laws. You're supposed to isolate yourself for a certain amount of time, purify yourself. Okay. So we'll talk about that on another video. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for listening to me. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like. I know you did. And I will see you guys soon in another video. Let me read some of these comments. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, let me read some more. Hold on, May. It says Islam and Hebrewism is very, yes. And I talked about that, May. I think a lot of the faiths, we all have something in common. It says, I find this interesting. I like to hear you too. I told you I watched that video you did with your sister. I watched it a couple times. It says, I wish I could have been a good Muslim. No, you are a good person. What you mean? You're a good wife. You cook, you clean. That's a part of being a good wife. Didn't know you was a Hebrew. A lot of people don't know because I don't talk about it. When I first started this channel, I've shared pictures though. Y'all gonna be checking out my community tab. I've shared pictures of my son and all of us dressed up. I've got videos. Well, you probably weren't watching my channel, but I've got at least 2 videos of his dad and his uncle. I'll try and find them and then I'll repost them on the community wall so you guys can see pictures and stuff again. It says, didn't know you were a Hebrew Israelite. Not liking you, keeping. You're so funny. Okay, and we know that Young Riaz is a Muslim. Okay, let me see. I'm just, y'all, hold on. You sisters and brothers must prove one another. Yeah, that's right. Prove yourself. Don't just jump in the bed. The problem is people get hot. I'm just going to tell y'all the truth. They get hot. They've been talking on the phone for such and such amount of time, maybe 6 months, and they're hot. And we know what we're talking about. A lot of Israel is not getting together married. Shout out to the young people who are born. Like I said, my son is born in this, and he finds another young woman who was born in this, and she's a virgin, and he's a virgin, and great. But the reality is a lot of these people that are getting together are not new to the game, right? So they've been bumping bottoms, as my son used to call it, bumping bottoms. They've been bumping bottoms for quite a while. And so, you know, they're excited. Now 6 months, 7 months has passed, you know. Be firm, ladies. Stand firm. Keep those legs closed. Get you a chaperone, honey. If he loves you, he'll be willing to wait on you. And then y'all do things the right way. Watch him. Then watch him some more. Then watch him some more. Then watch him some more. All right, you guys. Mwah.